Hi guys, welcome back to the Endurance podcast with Tom and Tim again. This week we've got two special guests, Suzanne and Marcus, who are from VerticalMed Tyrol, and that's a company which kind of specializes in individualizing nutrition for athletes, and especially I think for athletes for winter sports. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that, guys?
Yeah, hello. Nice for your invitation, and thanks a lot for your time and to listen to us. We are looking forward for the discussion, and we are happy for some real questions in the details about sports and endurance and winter sports and summer sports. As you like, we can talk about everything.
Yeah, I also say hello to everybody. It's a pleasure to meet you guys, and yeah, we are really looking forward for a very special discussion, because I think we have a lot of topics to discuss about, and just start our talks.
Okay.
Can I start by asking a very simple question? What's the weather like in Innsbruck these days?
Yeah, that's the easiest question. Now it's dark. I'm really sorry about that, because if we started probably 15 minutes earlier, could you send a picture directly with beautiful view, a sunset, it's perfect, and blue sky getting a little bit dark red, and now it's dark. Beautiful weather at the moment. For my feeling, a little bit too warm.
Yeah, we talk about winter sports, but at the moment we have temperatures about 50 degrees.
Yeah.
And it's very hot and the snow is melting. But yeah, a little bit strange, but
perfect for cycling now.
Yeah.
Already.
Not just in Slovenia, Tim. You can come to Austria now.
Well, I'm a big fan of Innsbruck. I've been there a few times, and the Edstadlerrad Marathon, and that region I know pretty well. So
Super. A lot of nice routes to cycling, and a lot of nice runs for mountain running or like this.
Yeah, but let's talk science.
Yeah, for sure. We appreciate.
So let's say I'm an amateur athlete, and then I would like to do some personalized nutrition, and I know that you also work with Slovenian Biathlon Federation, so with world-class athletes. So just to get an idea of what your company does. So let's say that an athlete comes to you, what do you then do, and what do you base your advice on?
Can I start? Yeah. Okay. I guess the first thing, the most important thing is if a company or a soccer club or like the Slovenian team, they asked us about how could we support their resilience about getting sick or getting an illness in the winter training especially. And the second thing is, as I mentioned before, the athletes, they are more interested on their performance, but from our side, we are more focused on the health, on the overall health. And always the first thing when we start with an athlete or also with a whole team is to ask them, okay, what's your goal? What's your target? And then we are doing kind of a history questionnaire, and then ask them, how is your sleep? Do you wake up? Can you fall in sleep easily? Or do you feel after 1 hour training, you get some cramps, or do you have any feeling about the deficiency? And we are noticing this, and then we are coming to a conclusion, and then we are deciding, okay, now for you, the best is to make a blood measurement. Or if you are telling us, for example, I'm always having problems with to go to toilet just every 3-4 days, or I'm going every day 3 times and it's quite thin, then we are focusing more on the digestive system, and then we are doing a measurement from the stool. And this is what we are trying to ask before we start a personalized nutrition recommendation. We always try to find out, okay, where are the deficiencies or where is the weakness? And then we are trying to make a really good plan with them together. And after the test, it needs some time, around 1 week, maximum 2 weeks, let's say. And then we get the results, and then we make their own individual recommendations.
For us, the medical history of the patient is very important, because only with these data we can interpret the lab results. That's very important, because the lab results that you read on the paper, you have to know about the history, because you can't say between a range of, can we talk about, for example, I don't know, vitamin B12. You need to know the history of the athlete, of the patient, because when maybe he's a vegan athlete and you don't know that, then it's, we have to know that, because then we see the reason why he has so low B12 levels is because of the deficiency in the nutrition, or he has problems with his stomach, or he has problems with his digestion system. And so with the history of his past, we can make individual recommendations. That's very important for us. Also in the use of medications, because that plays a really critical role for lab results.
So you mentioned like being killed, and that being the most important, like preventing getting killed to be the most important thing. Like I definitely 100% agree with this, because there is no training when you're ill. You can't progress. You just go back. So for me, having a healthy athlete is the most important thing. So what are the mistakes in nutrition, apart from, let's say, the carbohydrate and availability or protein intake, that athletes make in terms of deficiencies in micronutrients?
What do you mean when you say that their regeneration gets to bad?
I don't know, when you probably tested number of athletes, what is the most common mistake that people do is let's say in the winter times, and something that easy.
This is super easy. They are drinking too less. That's probably one of all over the world the number one mistake. Every athlete is taking too less water, or let's say good liquids or good drinks. But the most of the time we prepare 2 or 3 pages is, let's say, vitamin D is, even if a lot of athletes or people know about vitamin D now, still we have around 80% deficiency in Austria and Germany, for example. And in case of sports athletes, I guess one of the main problems in case of performance, if we think about performance, is coenzyme Q10, also known under ubiquinol. I don't know if you know that. For sure you will know it, but if someone is listening, coenzyme Q10 is mostly known as a cream for the women in the face, but we also need it to have a real good ATP production. Otherwise, we can't produce energy, and this is one of the main problems in sports athletes. And
And another thing is omega-3 acids.
Yeah, omega-3 fatty acids.
These micronutrients we saw in our athletes are the main parameters that are very low. Mm-hmm. And we saw that omega-3 acids are in sports especially very needed, because with every training, with every competition, you make inflammation, and the body has to work against it. So the need is much more higher than in a normal person.
So probably that's the top 3, let's say vitamin D, omega-3 fatty acids, coenzyme Q10. I guess sometimes this is more, sometimes that is more.
And maybe iodine. Iodine is also one thing that is more needed in athletes because of the sweating and because of the nutrition. Some guys don't take salt that is not ioded, and so they don't get it in the nutrition, and they have a higher need, and so they get into a decrease, and you need iodine for your thyroid gland. Without it, you don't produce your thyroid hormones, and these are very crucial for power. Without them, you don't have the energy for anything. So that are the things we saw by working with our athletes. But it's very individual.
Sorry, Tom, for just keeping asking questions, but I'm really interested. So vitamin D, because I keep getting the measurement results from my athletes, and various levels, not just elites. Is it we usually prescribe vitamin D testing in the winter because we are in the winter vitamin D is thought to be most problematic, but can vitamin D deficiency also occur in the summer? How is this?
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, as a sports athlete, I guess you should take it really the whole year, because there is one really good science study from cyclists and swimmers, and they are both in the summertime. Let's say mostly they are doing their training outside, and the measurement was in September. So at September it should be really high after the summer, but even at September around 65% had a deficiency in vitamin D level. So this means, vitamin D has so many problems for the uptake, because if you are wearing something, if you are using sun cream, for example, you can't metabolize it. This is not possible. And there are some others. You have to be in the sun between a time, let's say 10 to 3 o'clock. Otherwise, the angle from the sun is too low. You will get brown, but you won't get vitamin D.
And that's a good tip. If the shadow, when you are staying in the sun, if the shadow is bigger than you, then the UVB index is too low to produce on your own vitamin D.
Yeah.
So you can test it easily when you are staying in the sun and look at your shadow.
That is quite simple.
It's a foolproof way to find out if you're in the sun for the right amount of time.
Yeah.
Shadows.
And otherwise, you can just look at the weather app and look at the UVB index.
Yeah.
Then it must be over 3.
Over 3, yeah, then that's perfect.
Then you can produce vitamin D on your skin. But you have to take care, because when you take any sun cream or anything like that, or you wear a helm or anything with a long shirt, you don't produce it. And that's because in summer, most athletes, take sun cream on their skin, and so you block the vitamin D production. And so you have to measure it in the blood to know if you need vitamin D or you need not.
So in the UK, I imagine being a cyclist means that you never get enough vitamin D.
Never, yeah. I'm so sorry for you, Tim.
Even if it's sunny, then we are full of...
That's really huge problem.
There's no shadow because there's no sun.
Or if there is sun, we just use the sunscreen because we are so afraid of the sun that... So what would be the recommended intake then for vitamin D? What do you propose, as a general, a recommendation?
There is a lot of science out there. I guess vitamin D is one of the best science studies what we have all over the world. And now at the moment, it's a little bit different in the countries. In Austria and Germany, the recommended intake is around 3,000 to 6,000 international units per day. We are working a little bit different. We are trying to ask you about your weight. For example, my weight is around 70 kilograms. So I need 7,000 international units per day. So if you're having 55 kilograms, you need 5,500 per day. And then you are safe. This is for your daily need. If you are in a deficiency, we are doing like that for 2-3 weeks, depends on the result. We say, okay, today, please double this dose, the daily dose, for 3 weeks, and after you can reduce it to the normal intake.
And you have to take care because in vitamin D, there are patients that are non-responders.
Yeah.
And they take vitamin D, but their vitamin D level doesn't go up. So you have to look at the magnesium status because you need magnesium to activate vitamin D in the active form. And so many patients have a magnesium deficiency, and you have to take magnesium in combination with vitamin D to raise their levels.
How is it with absorption of vitamin D, given that it's soluble in fat, isn't it?
Yes, that's another thing. If you take any vitamin D pills, you have to take them with a little bit of fat, because otherwise you don't take it up. So you take vitamin D in oil, in drops, or pills with a little bit of fat. That's very, very important.
And how much fat would that need to be? Just with a meal, you would have enough fat in just a normal kind of meal? Doesn't need to be a particularly fatty meal to absorb it.
No, this needs just to be really a small amount, so not a lot. And if, for example, I can show you, this is like you have to take some drops like this. You just open this and then 3, 4, 5 drops on your tongue, and that's it. And there is some of these supplements are already, not everyone, but some, or let's say maybe half of them, including automatically a little bit oil, and then it's perfect for the.
It's a really tiny amount, yeah.
Yes. You know, they are also the supplement guys are trying to check out the science studies, and if there is a good one and the recommendation is okay, you have to take vitamin D with some oil, then they are trying to produce these supplements as soon as possible.
When you take vitamin D in drops, you have a little bit advantages because you take it with your mucosa, and it's getting better into your body.
With the mouse mucosa.
Because it's getting faster, because you don't get through the stomach and the whole digestion system. So it gets directly into the blood system. That would be, one thing to think about it.
It's the same like with glucose, Tim. You know that if you take it just in the mouth, it's really instantly in the body, in the system. And also, for example, if you have some problems, because that's if we watch some results from the lab, this is like a picture for me. Okay, I don't check just one parameter after the next one. I see the whole system, and then I can find, okay, maybe there is a problem in the stomach, or maybe there is a problem in the gut. And then I recommend, okay, please, let's do a different way, because your gut system is not able to intake your supplements. This is also super, super important for us. And sometimes we see a picture from the result, and then, our brain system is working pretty well and fast, and we are, after some seconds, we know exactly, this probably is a problem in the gut, and we can't give them supplements like oral supplements. We need to do it in a different way, like with the mouse, or sometimes also we need infusions because they are not able to transport it in the over the pathway from the digestive to gut.
Interesting.
And I just want to say, reading lab results is
quite difficult.
It's quite difficult because you have to know about the biochemistry. You need to know how our red blood cells are produced. What do you need for producing them? And so you saw the whole picture, and then you can make decisions.
Yeah, like speaking of red blood cells, that was the next question I had. Like, what's your like, because very commonly, like in endurance athletes, we see iron deficiency, so very low ferritin levels, and sometimes it feels like it's really difficult to get the ferritin levels up. So what's your like experience with this, and like,
I guess that's a really super good question, Tim, because in my feeling, if I talk even to doctors, to some specialists, the problem is always the same. Sometimes they say, okay, the ferritin level is low. Yeah, you need iron. But I would say probably 50%, it's not necessary to give them iron, because the problem is to give iron is one side, but to bring it into the body is the other side. So we also have to focusing on what do you need else to start the metabolism, to bring iron into the red blood cell, or to increase it. And it's really not so easy, and it's not possible just to measurement ferritin. You need also, there is a receptor in the brain, and if this receptor is not high, you don't need iron. You have your iron in your body, but you are not able to bring it to the ferritin pathway.
To transport it.
Yeah, you are not possible to transport this. And there you have some coenzymes, and these coenzymes are necessary to measurement. If you don't measure them, you are not able to make a real good recommendation. And we call it sports package. We did for our sports athletes, or let's say for athletes and high performers, we created a system to find also these coenzymes. For example, also the B vitamins, there are copper, zinc, there are boron, for example, and you really need to know these results. Otherwise, you are just trying to find the correct pathway, but you are not able to find the correct pathway.
And another thing is about the problem with iron. It's our gut, because especially in endurance athletes, you produce every time inflammation in your gut system, and this is producing hepcidin, and then you don't have the ability to bring the iron levels up. You don't take it into your blood, and that's very, very difficult. And there are products, and it's very individual, but there for some athletes it works with maybe
an oral
supplement, but there's one thing you can with special formulations like sucrosomale, liposomale supplements. But in some athletes, the only way is to take infusions. But that's where a difficult part when you are under doping control, because you have to you are not allowed to take the value over 100 milliliters, I think so. Or do you know it?
This is 100 milliliters.
100 milliliters.
In one time, 100 milliliters.
So for us, the first thing is when we have these problems with our digestion system, to bring that on the level that you don't have these problems anymore, and then you can absorb the iron. So when you take iron and you have this inflammation, it's a nonsense. You waste money. So the first thing is to make the system right again in your gut.
Probably there are two main problems in case of athletes. They like to have to do their training, means inflammation is going up, and with inflammation, hepcidin is coming. So we have the possibility. There are some kind of small tricks. What you can do is take it every second or third day, the iron supplement, because the hepcidin level will be lower after 24 hours. But even, and there are some other things, in the morning the hepcidin level is lower, at evening it's more high from the day, also from the normal stress. And you also have to check the intake system. We have one gut transport system for metal ions, and iron is a metal. So we know if you if your food level is in the direction of you eat, for example, something with a lot of zinc inside, so you are not able to transport iron inside. And that's why the questionnaire from the history is also important, because if I ask you, oh, you eat a lot of nuts, or you eating a lot of this, and there is a lot of zinc, the zinc level is high, it's automatically, we have to know, or we have to think about, this could be the problem with the iron. Also, these things are important. And if this happens, or if this problem in the digestive is for a longer time, there are some supplements, they're using a different pathway to become into the body.
Yeah, that's kind of like what you mentioned, like sounds really interesting. And I've been thinking quite a bit about it, because some really recommend really like going with iron like every single morning, really high dose, on the top of like training. And I'm like, well, that's probably not the best idea, because you will just increase the hepcidin levels.
Could be very dangerous.
So
because high dosages of iron could produce pro-inflammatory processes.
Yeah, so basically you're just making it worse, right?
Yes,
so
exactly.
I usually kind of recommend athletes, and correct me if I'm wrong, to have it basically after the rest day, which is basically when they would be most in the morning.
First, this is perfect. And for me, if you like to know, okay, because iron is quite fast to absorb it, if you are able to. So if you have a blood measurement and I say your ferritin, let's say, is around, let's say 10, or we have sometimes lower than 10, is also possible. And then you start to taking, it doesn't matter which supplement, or just also with eating beetroots and kind of this, also good for iron intake. But you should measure a measurement again, the blood, let's say after 6 to 8 weeks, and then you know exactly, oh, there is some difference, or it's quite the same. And then you should instantly change your thinking and your approach, because otherwise you're working for nothing.
And when you measure ferritin, you always have to measure also CRP, the inflammatory
C-reactive protein.
Yeah, because that's an inflammatory parameter. And if this is high, ferritin would falsely be maybe correct, because ferritin is an acute phase protein. And when you have inflammation, ferritin is also higher. So when the athletes are training very intensive and you measure their ferritin level, it maybe is all right, or in the right position, although the real ferritin value is too low because of the inflammations.
So this is also you have to take care of. So means if you are doing iron measurement, not just ferritin is important or iron, you also need some acute phase proteins like CRP, and also some cofactors. That's quite important.
And then
in your process, sorry, go on, Tim.
What kind of like, because there are many like forms of iron in the market, like bisglycinate and whatever else. Like what do you find is like the best in your opinion?
For sure, bisglycinate is always the best approach at first, because this is more easy, even in case of magnesia. This is bisglycinate is going more fast and more easy through the cells. And especially in case let's switch also to magnesia, because this is also very, very important. It depends on the acid level from the gut. If the acid level is it's too less sour, you are not able to intake the magnesium. In case of iron, it's a little bit different, but we are doing like this. We're starting with, like, for example, bisglycinate, and after the first measurement, we can see, okay, it's getting better. Then we can continue, probably a little bit adapt. But if we can see after the first measurement, okay, it's still the same, we have to change from glycinate to another approach, to another pathway.
Yeah, because, and that's also a very important thing, your stomach acid is very crucial. It must be acid because there iron is reduced from iron 3 plus to iron 2 plus. So if you have too low stomach acid, then you don't reduce it. So that's a really important thing in a lot of athletes. They have too low acid in the stomach. So take care of this also, because otherwise this reduction doesn't take place. And for other things as well, maybe for vitamin B12, because in the stomach you need this intrinsic factor, and this intrinsic factor it binds on the B12, and then it's a transport medium that you can in the duodenum you can absorb it. And if you have too low levels of acid, you don't produce this intrinsic factor, so you can't take up B12. So a good tip for all athletes would be eat bitter. How do you spell it in English? Bitterstoffe. I just have to look at this.
Tim can translate Bitterstoffe because he knows German as well.
Bitter ingredients.
Bitter
taste.
Bitter taste ingredients. Bitter taste, not supplements. This is starting to produce the acid in the stomach, and also starting the pancreatic pathway, the gallbladder pathway. So this is starting producing the enzymes.
Rucola, dandelion. Yeah. How do you say it in English? Artichoke. All these kinds of fruits and vegetables that are bitter in taste. So these are producing the acid in your stomach, and also the enzymes in your pancreas elastase to digest all kinds of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins.
Interesting. So perhaps if you use too much sodium bicarbonate, like definitely it's not the big.
Yes, exact.
Or maybe when they are coated against the stomach acid, then you go through it, and then it's no problem. So they always have to be coated.
I forgot about that.
So then you don't have the problem.
Yeah, I guess when we started with iron, and iron is really super hard to understand and super complicated. Even in blood results, a lot of people are doing really the wrong approach in this case, and you really should take care about to give iron, because it's pro-oxidative. Then it makes more destroying in your body than supporting. Take care about iron.
Yeah, and because the range, when you look at the lab results, is very thin, is about 20 to 300. That is a huge range.
Yeah, it's like this average. I don't know.
And for sport athletes, it has to be almost over 100. That's very important. Yeah. It should be over 100.
Well, I pretty much never see it over 100. I think it's probably on average around 50. That's what I see.
That's not.
I guess there is one more question. Super interesting, because everyone is talking, you have to less iron or this, or you have to less from that. For us or for our company, it's really super important. Always we like to know, why is that problem, and what's the main problem? Is it the gut? Is it because you are vegetarian or vegan, or is it because of too much training or too less regeneration? Or then this is what we like to find out. And so we are trying to support everyone really as good as possible.
So you take bloods then in Innsbruck, or how does it work?
Not just in Innsbruck. This is possible. So we have in Germany and in Austria different partners, and you can go to these places, or you can also come for sure. You can come to Innsbruck, or sometimes, like for the Slovenian team, they had a trainings camp in Ramsau am Dachstein. Like it was a winter trainings camp, or almost winter trainings camp, but they had to less snow, so they have to use their rollers. But they did their training, and we started with the blood measurement before the training. This is also important. You should take care about the time when you take the blood. If you have 2 days hard trainings, this makes no sense. So if there is a training camp, it's always good to start at the beginning, and then they can make their trainings camp, and then after, at the next trainings camp, or just 1 or 2 weeks later, we are doing the recommendations. And for the recommendations, if we know the athletes well, it's not necessary that they have to come. So we can do it also via Zoom or with a phone call, because they are quite clever. If they have done these measurements 2-3 times, they know exactly and what to do, or they say, this is too less or this is too high. What can we do now? This is our that's, I guess, the approach.
I think in case of your work, it would be the best way to do these measurements when you do your performance tests. Mm-hmm. So then you have a whole picture, because you always have to think in a team, because then you work together, and the performance and the nutritional status and everything should be integrated, and to find the best solution for the athlete.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And you should be included, Tim or Tom. You are the trainer and the coach, right?
Yeah.
So if you are a trainer, or also if we have a team, we also try to ask the physiotherapists and also the president or the sports director. You should also focus, and we should include them to feel, for the whole team to feel, okay, everyone is doing really the same, and everyone is supporting this idea. This is very, very useful.
And also when we are working with teams and they have their own cooks, then we talk with them for sure, because when you see they have decreased omega-3 levels, you have to take care in their daily nutrition. Mm-hmm. So that the cook is including more lax, more some kind of foods what you need. So we diagnose the special needs in the team. So that's very, or in the individual person, when they have the ability to have their own meals.
For example, you have a cook with your team, right, Tim? Or
yeah, we have, I think, 3 chefs in the team. But all the cycling teams these days have chefs, and it's like we are working sometimes also with soccer teams, and they are also having a cook, and this is super important, because, for example, if the deficiency is quite low, for sure the normal nutrition pathway or the approach is the best one, the gold standard one. But if it's too less, our recommendation says, okay, you should take supplements, or you should take this or that. This is super, super important. And if it's just a little bit too less on iron, a little bit too less on, let's say, omega-3 fatty acids, and if it's possible, we can use different oils or more fatty fish. We are taking this approach first. And second is, okay, you need to do this or that. But maybe one more super interesting thing, but I guess you will know that there is a consensus paper from the IOC from 2019 from Berg. And this consensus paper describes, do you need, as a professional sports athlete, do you need supplements? Yes or no? This is not the question anymore. This is already, we know that they have to take some supplements, but the description is about, okay, how to, at first, the measurements, then a professional recommendation from a real expert nutritionist, and then again a controlling, and that's the way. If you need this, we can send this to you. This is no problem. Or I think we should probably it's getting a bit late, so I don't want this episode to be too long, but I would definitely want another one, because this discussion was really interesting, and I myself, even though I'm from the field, learned quite a few new things. So I know you told me if you have some other questions, but
I just had one question. I was thinking about earlier and what you just said about the teams kind of brought that up again. Do you often see a pattern within a team or within a certain, shall we say, similar group of individuals, winter athletes versus summer athletes, or within a team specifically in the kinds of deficiencies that you see with these tests, or is it very, very random between the individuals?
I think you have patterns when we look at the genders, because between women and men, we look different needs. We see them. We see, if you are a vegan, if you are a vegetarian, if you are omnivorous, that we are seeing in the lab results. And the funny thing is that when we look at vegan person, and they just think they are eating very, very healthy, and they think they are eating the
good food,
good food.
Perfect food.
They have the most problems because sometimes they don't have the sources they don't get that much resources that their body need. And
bioavailable forms maybe as well, I guess.
And Marcus, what pattern?
I guess also, for example, in runners, the iron deficiency is probably higher than in other athletes, a little bit higher, because they are not just doing the inflammation part. I don't know if you know that if you are running, you are having some impact on your feet, and this is also destroying red blood cells.
Yeah.
And we didn't expect it that high, but we did a measurement on a really a huge group, around over 30 running athletes, and I guess from 31 or 32, 29 having a problem with the iron deficiency.
And one thing in bikers or in cycling athletes, we see, because of maybe some have very low body weight, is the problem with osteoporosis, because they don't have the input on their bones. That problem is not that big on runners. Although they have a low body weight, they don't have these problems. It's bigger in cyclist athletes. That's very important.
Yeah, that's a lot of discussions in the cycling world about this, because it's a big issue. And that's why more and more cyclists are actually doing strength training to actually do some loading on the bones as well. Yeah.
This is super important. Some corrective corrective exercises for the bone
And then they have low vitamin D levels, and they don't have the calcium in their bones, and so the problems are getting bigger.
Yeah.
I think we should really let's say stop here and then arrange another time and continue the discussion. Like the listeners can ask us questions, and then we can wrap up with more topics. We covered pretty much vitamin D and iron today. I think 2 really important topics, and then we can pick up others next time if you would be willing to.
Yes, for sure. We appreciate it. Always.
It would be a pleasure for us.
Always nice to discuss with you, Tim. Tom, also with you for sure. I'm sorry you have not so much time.
I really enjoyed that. Thanks a lot. And let's try and arrange another talk soon.
We are looking forward to it.